A changing of the guard at City Hall.
And we have got reaction from the outgoing mayor and the incoming.
I'm Claudine Ewing.
And I'm Pete Gallivan. Well, Mayor Byron Brown is now former Mayor Byron Brown, and we're going to be hearing from him.
But first, you want to hear from the new acting mayor, Christopher Scanlon.
Walking through South Buffalo, your old district, what goes through your mind right now with the ascension to the mayor's office?
First, I have to make sure everyone realizes it's still my current district. I know
Right.
there's a lot of conversation about that.
Because we've seen a lot of momentum. I remember my grandmother lived over off of Abbott, and this section of Seneca Street was one of my boyhood homes.
Yeah.
And it had a down period, and it's coming back, the momentum. So, I mean, that momentum, you got to keep that going, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this area here in South Buffalo in the 1950s, 1960s, that was downtown South Buffalo, right? Shops door to door lining the street. And, you know, 20, 25 years ago, you would hear things like, don't go over on Seneca Street. But over the course of the past 10 years, we've seen a lot of revitalization here. You know, we're standing across the street from Shea Seneca, the fantastic job that Jake Schneider and his team did. We're next door to the old Bank of America building, which is opening up tonight as the Kaz, a brand new music venue here in South Buffalo.
What lessons here can you take and put across the city as an acting mayor?
Yeah, I think it's the one that I've always kind of preached during my time in office, and that's collaboration. You know, you can't come out to a certain area or a certain commercial strip and tell people what you're going to do. You've got to get buy-in. You got to talk to the property owners, the business owners, the neighbors on the adjacent streets, things of that nature, and get everyone on the same page, and that's what we did here.
I'm glad you said that because that's one of the things that I think people are concerned about. Some areas have prospered, other areas have not. Is this something you want to replicate in East Buffalo, West Buffalo, even the north side?
We can't have certain areas of the city flourishing and others foundering. So again, we've got to invest in every corner of the city of Buffalo, and that doesn't necessarily mean equally, but equitably.
One of the criticism going back to Mayor Griffin was, he's from South Buffalo, South Buffalo streets got paved first, plowed first, Kaz diamonds were always the best in the city. And whether that was a fair perception or not, that was a perception. Is that on your mind about, given the fact that the South District is your home district and is going to be staffed with members of your former staff, is that a concern that people are going to say, oh, he's South Buffalo first?
That they'll get preferential treatment?
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for me to combat that, those rumors, things and that. All I can do is go out and do the job, right? And I think that people, if they watch closely, they'll see that what I'm going to do here as mayor is get out in every corner of the city, serve, represent, deliver for every corner of the city.
All right, that's what your new mayor had to say, but the old mayor had a lot to say, and even more than just his accomplishments.
Yeah, we know he's going to be president and CEO of OTB, but we also learned that the entire term that he served as mayor in the city of Buffalo, he was battling prostate cancer. Here's more from my one-on-one interview with Byron Brown. Legacy, first Black mayor, longest serving mayor of the city of Buffalo. Has this job tired you out? Are you exhausted?
I'm not exhausted, I'm not tired, but I have given this job every ounce of energy, every ounce of commitment that I have. I've given it my all for almost 20 years, and I did that because I love Buffalo, I love its people, and I wanted to see the city be all that it can be.
I remember asking you before during a debate, how would you rate your job as a mayor? And I remember at one point you said an A, and during big events you said an A. And I remember saying to you, Mayor, are you serious? You're really going to give yourself an A? But looking back at your career, how do you grade your performance as the mayor of the city of Buffalo?
I think looking back on my performance now as I am prepared to leave office after 19 plus years of service, it's really up to the people of Buffalo to judge me and to judge my performance. And I think as the years go forward, when people are able to look back and understand everything that has been accomplished, they'll judge my performance very favorably. You know, a low point for me right now is leaving the office of mayor of the city of Buffalo. I have loved the opportunity to serve the community that I live in. And people have been very kind and very supportive and very helpful to me in being able to do my best in this job. So I leave with high hopes and optimism for the future, but it also is a low point, leaving something that I love and I've received tremendous support to do. I won't be leaving the city. I will still be a resident of the east side of Buffalo.
So no plans on moving?
No plans on moving whatsoever. I will still be an active member of this community, and that's what I encourage every resident to be.
Byron Brown was proud to announce that he is a cancer survivor, and one of his last acts as mayor was to have 4 trailblazing street signs honoring Buffalo citizens. They are Brooksy McCutcheon at the corner of Landon and Humboldt Parkway, Lucille Colston Hicks at the corner of Blaine and Jefferson, Pastor Hamid Motley at the corner of Chelsea and East Delavan, and Sherelle William Colston at the corner of East Ferry and Fillmore. And at Delaware Park, the basketball courts will be renamed the Mayor Anthony M. Masiello Basketball Courts at Delaware Park. The former mayor was a huge hoops fan who even played at Canisius College.
Coming up on Community, who says Buffalo can't produce stars? We're going to hear from actor Patrick Gallo.
Art and community, definitely.
Welcome back to Community. Now we're going to hear from a Buffalonian who has worked with some of the biggest names in show business.
Right over there at the Alleyway Theater is where Patrick Gallo did a one-man show.
You're going to New York, you're gonna be an actor, baby. I start climbing up the ladder.
It's called How to Be an Artist in 10 Super Easy Steps.
This show is a collection of stories that happened in my life in the first 25 years of my life.
This is actor Patrick Gallo.
Punched my wall. Exams? Still exams?
The show is like an infomercial, except what's being sold is the persona of the artist. Gallo is Buffalo born and raised. He's worked with some of the best.
Working on things like that, working with Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, 3 people that were on the top of my bucket list. The title of the artist is more of a product, and the essence of the artist is being a storyteller, and that's what I was able to find.
He had a role in When They See Us.
We'll go with 16. Come on. Like working with Ava DuVernay on When They See Us, which is this, heartbreaking story of reality, and to be a part of something like that, to tell that story. There are wonderful rewards to it, but the greatest is when you work with people that you've admired, people that have inspired you to commit your life to being an actor and to creating things. And they're just like you.
Supporting live theater is also his message.
We're inundated with social media. But the real stuff is out there, and man, when you're standing in front of a great painting or watching someone perform on a stage, going to a great film, that's just power. I would hear the sounds of joy, and they would bounce off of every house in the neighborhood. What is next for me? Well, I'm about to hang a mural. I also do some work with other artists in the city, and Max Collins, who's a great artist and a great muralist, finding old historic images that reflect a moment of love between 2 people, a real pure moment, an unconscious moment of love. This first one is of my parents. And I'm really, right at this moment, just intoxicated with the city. Where I left off, I ran out of this city when I was almost 19. And I feel like this commitment we made to stay, all those things that I loved that kind of got snipped short because I had to take off and I had to start my life somewhere else. Well, I'm very swept up in the romance of this city and the trees and the architecture and the landscape and the people.
A polytab mural at 608 William Street on the corner of William and Emsley. It's part of the Buffalo AKG's Public Art Initiative. The community played a role in this design.
This mural is literally an assemblage. It is a patchwork of pieces that have come together through input from students at Harriet Ross Tubman School. We have representatives here from that school. Those students were able to install some of the work that they produced in their school. They can now see themselves represented inside their school, but also in their community.
It is also intergenerational.
The public art plays an important role in the cultural and the social fabric of our community. It can transform ordinary spaces, like a county health center, into something extraordinary.
This is a potluck of a mural here, all right? So it's for everybody. And hopefully that all of the people that this clinic serves will feel welcome and feel delighted walking in and passing out now that we have this makeover that cannot be missed. Now you know the building and now you know who it serves.
Hey!
Take a drive down Main Street in Williamsville.
Hey!
And it's easy to see who the most popular guy in town is.
Hey!
Trey Young is always right here.
Hey!
On a good day.
You know what? The world's not right unless we get two.
That's right, man. That's right, man.
Or bad.
I needed a hug. Oh, I'm so glad.
Thank you.
Your day's gonna be better, I promise you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And this has been going on for almost 4 years.
Oh, it was actually a really good hug. He's had a lot of practice, I think.
But that's not the way it's always been for Trey.
Why are you doing this?
Okay, so it's gonna be a long story. So
Growing up in Williamsville wasn't easy.
doctors were saying I wasn't supposed to talk correctly. I wasn't supposed to think correctly. I was supposed to be a slow person.
And it didn't take long for others to notice.
I could be like saying hi to someone and they don't respond. Or it's like, who wants to hang out with him?
But rather than turning his back on Williamsville,
I'm good, how are you?
he decided to embrace it.
So how's your week going?
Oh, it's wonderful, how about yours?
Good, really good.
Sharing that mindset as a junior youth pastor at Zion Dominion Global Ministries.
You have a wonderful day, okay? You're awesome, you're special, and you're worthy, okay? You're welcome. I don't want to see someone go through the way of what I went through.
What can I get for you guys?
I'm gonna take the free hugs.
And now Williamsville
Yeah, for sure. How many scoops would you like?
is embracing him too.
Here's the free hug waffle cone.
I can actually say people are buying my own ice cream, and I've never said that before.
That's got to be a crazy feeling.
It is. It's like a dream come true, man. Hey, man, how are you? Good to see you. If you're a parent, don't give up on your child. No matter what people say, no matter what teachers or doctors say, don't ever give up on your child. Because later in life, your daughter, your son is going to achieve so many things. And it's going to prove so many people wrong.
Williamsville wasn't ready for Trey Young.
Yo, what's up, man? How you doing?
But now,
See someone smiling, it definitely makes you feel a little bit better.
Even if I don't stop and wave, I still feel that uplift.
they can't hold on tight enough.
You have a good day, okay? One more hug for the road.
It's just fun for me. I get to stand in front of the orchestra. I have the best seat in the house. I get to stand in front of the orchestra and have that sound wash over me, and I get to share it with everyone here in Clarence. This is the fourth and final concert of the Clarence Summer Orchestra, a professional orchestra in residence here at Clarence Town Park, and we get to provide a free outdoor concert for members of the Clarence and wider Western New York community. really excited to have Claudine with us to narrate this piece, The Thrill of the Orchestra. It's like an introduction piece to all the instruments of the orchestra, so she's going to come out and speak while we're playing about, here's the woodwind section and here's the brass section, and teach everyone in the audience about all the different instruments of the orchestra.
Finally, let's look at the strings. These players have to learn something different. They neither hit their instruments or blow into them. Instead, they scrape their strings with this thing they hold, which is called the bow.
Well, we've got a whole lot still to come here on Community. Women's Health
and Little Big Town.
Welcome back to Community. Well, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so we're going to devote a little time now to talk about women's health.
I had a chance to sit down with Dr. Sharon Malone. She's an expert when it comes to women's health.
The name of my book is Grown Woman Talk, and I chose that title because it really encompasses a lot of the conversations. Remember how when you were a little girl and your mother would start talking to her friends or her sisters, and they would get to a point in the conversation where you had to leave, and my mother would say, okay, this is grown folks talk, and you had to leave. And I think that there are a lot of those conversations that we should have heard because we don't know enough about our health and the kinds of things that we should be looking for when we are grown women. I want women to know is how to live healthfully, which is to increase our health span, not just our lifespan. It doesn't do you any good to live for an extra 10 years if 9 of that is spent in a nursing home. I don't think that there is enough conversation around preventative health. The conversation about many of the diseases that we talk about, be it high blood pressure, be it cancer, be it menopause, really the conversation has to be backed up almost 20 years. You need to know what to do to not have these things, not deal with them after the fact.
And what is it that women are dealing with when we talk about menopause?
The one thing that women think of when they think of menopause is hot flashes. And yes, you do get hot flashes, but there are over 34 symptoms of menopause that you may or may not associate with menopause, such as dry skin, decreased libido, painful sex, frequent urinary tract infections, sleeplessness, depression, increased weight. All of these things sort of happen, and you may have all of them, may have 2 or 3. Young women think, oh my goodness, this has nothing to do with me. Well, yes, it does, because as I tell women all the time, menopause is the one universal female experience. You may have a lot of things. You will have menopause if you are lucky to live long enough to get it. Women, and Black women in particular, tend to go through menopause earlier. Their symptoms are more severe, and they last longer. And having hot flashes and sleepless nights increases your risk for cardiovascular disease and increases your risk for diabetes and weight gain, a lot of the things that are, again, risk factors for other more serious diseases as we age. There is no virtue in enduring, and saying, oh, I'll just get a fan or turn the air conditioning down. No, you should treat those hot flashes because they are an indicator of other things that could be problematic for you later in life.
Isn't there the concern that with the hormone therapies, it may increase their risk for cancers like breast cancer?
For women who take estrogen only, the risk of developing breast cancer, and this is from the same study that told you that it increases your risk, is decreased by 23%. And the risk of dying from breast cancer, even if you are diagnosed, is decreased by 40%.
It is behavior of a person trying to show power or control. And in Western New York, there's been an increase in victimization and violence. That's according to the people over at the Family Justice Center.
Specifically narrowing in on strangulation. Strangulation is a very lethal form of domestic violence. A one-time strangulation increases the likelihood of homicide.
But why?
It's still not entirely clear why we're seeing this uptick in violence because we're really kind of in the throes of analysis and assessment. I do speculate, however, that in this post-COVID environment that we're living in, I think that, people's tolerance and wicks, if you will, have been shortened and their tolerance has been diminished. And so people resort to violence.
In fact, they're seeing people coming in with no hope and they're fearful.
We're seeing someone who has financial abuse and feels like there's no way out. We're seeing someone who has significant injuries from a horrific strangulation the night before with no way out. We also have someone at the very beginning stages of abuse, still feels like there's no way out.
The Family Justice Center is just one place providing help. And who can forget the video of Sean Diddy Combs physically assaulting a woman?
It's actually a talking point for survivors who are coming in for services. That's something that's happened recently, where that particular case where P. Diddy, Sean Combs, is relevant in the news, and that has sparked someone coming forward. They see themselves in those videos that are released. They see themselves in those stories, and so that often is a way for someone to reach out for services.
How do you even come up with a coherent sentence to describe what this feels like? So this is where I decided to start the writing. This is finding the words. We searched for the words in the music. We sang the same songs at the same time as if they were the gospel. We hugged in the streets like old friends despite the new wounds. We searched for the words in the food.
The AKG belongs to Buffalo, and Buffalo belongs to the AKG. So it would be unnatural if we didn't participate or share in the grief of our community. I think Drea, what she's offering for us tonight is an opportunity to explore the depth and various emotions that we associate when we think about grief and memory and imagination. This is an invitation to explore all the aspects. So it's not just simply heaviness, it's also memories can spark all sorts of things, joy and delight. And so it's the art of remembering that can connect us with a loved one that we may have lost. So that's the beauty of this experience. It's an exploration of feelings.
A little bit of red, a lot of bit of crown, don't matter what it is.
The Take Me Home tour is coming to Buffalo. This is Little Big Town.
18, 19 shows, and we got our old buddies Sugarland back together, and they're coming out on the road with us, and this is the biggest production that we've ever done.
They'll be in Buffalo on November 2nd.
The wine, the beer, the whiskey,
I think we're just all excited about feeling good together and bringing people together in that way, in a joyful way.
Music is the commonality that brings us all together. It doesn't matter what side of politics you're on. It doesn't matter, what your upbringing is or where you stand in the world. Music is a common denominator, and it heals us and brings us together, and especially Christmas music.
that holly jolly silly side of you, turn that jingle up as high as it goes.
We hope just that it warms people up and gives people a reason to celebrate and come together and love on each other right now.
Let it go, let it go.
Well, the Greatest Hits record we just put out is got some beautiful collaborations with Kelsey Ballerini on a song called Shut Up Train, which was one of her favorite songs, we found out. And so she sang on that with us. And then also we had Miranda Lambert join us on Little White Church, and it was so fun.
All right, well, from the city to the country, right?
You probably didn't expect to hear that on Community, did you? A little big town, and I was loving it.
We are here for you in every form.
It's all about community. Thanks so much for joining us this month. We'll see you in November.